Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. It's a wonderful Saturday morning, and I'm feeling refreshed and re-energized. But in a few moments, you can hear my thoughts and feelings on the Season 3 Put a Ring on It reunion episode. Now, I'll start off by saying that it was my intention to post my review on last night, but I felt myself falling asleep when watching this episode, and unfortunately, I tapped out. But I'm back now, and without any further delay, here are my thoughts on the reunion. First things first, I gotta say that everyone on the show was dressed to impress, especially with the elaborate fashion and different color schemes going on. That is, everyone except Brother Kenny. He was dressed casually, and either he missed the memo, or maybe, just maybe, he knew what time it was, and he was ready to cuss someone out, as well as do a cartwheel in the middle of the floor if need be. So the first part of the episode features host Egypt making small talk with the cast members, and asking them questions that most fans care nothing about. Egypt also speaks with Dr. Nicole about the crazy method of having people who are in a committed relationship go out on dates with other people to see if they're ready for marriage or not. And while I do think that the concept of the show is a little bit insane, I do believe that the show is great at seeing which cast members are ready for a commitment and which ones aren't. I would even consider this show to be a lighter and more productive version of the show Temptation Island. I think the only other notable part of the first segment of this episode was the reveal that Charlie was 6 months pregnant. I can honestly say that I don't blame Otis for shooting up the club. Charlie looks amazing, and Otis probably knew that trapping Charlie was the best way to ensure that she accepted his marriage proposal. But after a quick commercial break, Egypt gets to talk to Shay and Alfonso about their experience on the show. One question that Egypt asked Shay is why she called Alfonso her spouse, and the answer that Shay gave still didn't make any damn sense. But we learned that since the show ended, Alfonso confessed to Shay that he cheated on her several years ago, and that was enough for Shay to want to take a break from Alfonso. Now, if I were a betting man, I would say that Shay probably got some payback during her break, and then realized that she needed to get back with Alfonso to secure the bag. But Alfonso was definitely a changed man since the show ended, and I see how Shay has changed somewhat, but I still never saw or heard how she was able to overcome her crazy antics. Also during this segment, their blind dates Asar and Tanisha came to share their experience on the show, and I was pleasantly surprised to learn that Asar and Tanisha were dating. I wish them nothing but the best, and if Asar is smart, he will try to lock down Tanisha expeditiously. She's beautiful and she needs to be taken off the market completely. We then shift the focus to Charlie and Otis, who are then joined by their blind dates Chris and Milan. The bulk of this segment centered around Milan accusing Otis of being more into her than she was into him, and Otis denying everything that she said. Now, I have no dog in the fight, and I don't know who was telling the truth, but if Milan truly had the receipts that she claimed to have, then she would have no problem showing the actual proof of the exchange that she had with Otis. All she did was read the statements from her phone, which really didn't prove anything. So I thought this segment was a huge waste of time, and I liked how Charlie was able to analyze Milan's statements and call her out for some of her inaccurate claims. Lastly, we get to see Shorty and Kenny air out their grievances. Shorty is allowed to speak first, and she claims that she blocked Kenny on all forms of communication, but he's still trying to get back with her. But Kenny then cuts her off and says that the devil is a lie, and he calls Shorty out for her lying and manipulation. Egypt then gets control of the situation and questions Shorty on how the two of them started the process walking hand in hand, as well as how they got to this point. What I found most interesting about the segment was that while Kenny's method of communication is a little rough around the edges, I believed a lot of what he was saying, especially the parts where he claimed that Shorty didn't have much when he met her and how she begged him to join the show. By Shorty's own admission, she came on the show knowing that things between her and Kenny were over, which really meant that not only did she deceive Kenny and the cast members as well as production, but she deceived us as the fans as well. Now, I still think that Kenny has a ton of issues that he needs to be held accountable for and work on, but what this reunion further showed me was that Shorty is a piece of work too, and she's no innocent victim that she claims to be. What I found disappointing in this segment was how Egypt tried to check Kenny and use the words, "as a man," when telling him how he needed to proceed with Shorty. But I also noticed how she used kid gloves when dealing with Shorty and not really challenging any of Shorty's conflicting statements. This part of the show also introduces Hollywood, Maisha, and Tavi, but their contribution to the segment was minimal at best. The show ends shortly after that, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I will give this reunion a 4. I gave it this high of a rating because it gave us one bad reunion, instead of a bad reunion that was divided into 2 or 3 parts. But outside of that, I feel like the reunion was a waste of time, and outside of Charlie's pregnancy and Shay's break from Alfonso, we as the fans really didn't learn anything new about the cast members. But this ends my review for the episode, as well as my put a ring on it journey. I want to thank all of you who took this journey with me, liked my reviews, commented on them, and even subscribed to my channel after hearing what I had to say. If you have any comments related to the review or the episode, then feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to apply to each and everybody. And if you have any suggestions on new shows for me to review, then also feel free to leave that in the comment section below. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.